we're doing Card Chronicles Part 3. So, me and my mother was pregnant together. My sister is, let me roll my window up. My sister is now 24 and my son is 24. I also have a 21-year-old. So, let's start with being pregnant. So she wanted me to get an abortion because she was embarrassed that me and her was pregnant together. So I told her, well, if I get an abortion, that means you get an abortion. So she said no. I said, well, I guess we not. And so during that time, she paid some teenagers that I hung out with. She paid them to jump on me. So because they knew the anger and rage that I had, they came and they told me. And me being hot-headed and full of anger and stuff like that, so I confronted my mother, and she was like, so what, you scared they was gonna whoop you? And I told her, I said, well, evidently they didn't do anything, because that shows who was the punk. They were scared. So, because they came and told me. So, me and her got into a big argument, and we started to fight. And let me tell you, I had so much rage that I turned the top of the stove on, and I almost bent my mother over the fire if my cousin wouldn't walk in. So my cousin broke up the fight, and from that point on, it's been rejection after rejection. So I would get into a relationship like my son's father. He was older than me. He was 4 years older than me. Then I was 15 going on 16, and I was a junior in high school. I graduated a year early. So I couldn't go out. I couldn't go to the clubs. He was going to the clubs, and actually he was a DJ at a club. So I'm at home with my son, and once again feeling rejected. So eventually I just got tired of him, not taking care of his son like he was supposed to, and all the responsibility was on me. So I ended up moving back in. I had moved out once I graduated out of high school. I moved out like 2 months later, and then like a year and a half later I moved back to my auntie house. Doing this, when I had my son, the one who I first got pregnant by popped up at my auntie house because people was telling him that my son was his son, which was not true, because I wasn't dealing with him. I didn't even know where he was, and it didn't even make sense, but it made sense to the people that was being messy at the time. So then that he left me alone once he realized that I wasn't backing down and I wasn't giving in, that my son was not his son. So yeah, fast forward, I left my son's father, and I had another friend. So when I left him, I moved back to my auntie house, and I had already had a friend from when my cousins and them, back then, we had beepers. So my cousins and them was playing on a beeper and putting, calling random beeper numbers, and they put in the phone number to where I was living, and they were living there as well. So instead of them, they were doing like this blind meet. The man was coming over, and he was 4 years older than me as well, and I was the oldest cousin. So the guy was coming over, but he wasn't coming over to meet them because my cousin had gave him my name. which I didn't know anything about it. I thought, I was on my way to my son's dad's house. And when the guy pulled up, he was like, Clarice, and my cousin's name was outside. And I'm like, yeah. And so I was like, I don't even know you. So long story short, me and him end up being friends to eventually we end up being in a relationship. It was a rocky relationship. It was no trust or anything. Like I said, I was already feeling rejected from my son's father. But then he played a role, a great role. He was taking care of my son, the things that his dad wasn't doing. He became my son's godfather. Now, the godfather ended up turning into my daughter's daddy. And I was 20. Right before my 21st birthday, I had my daughter. My daughter is 7 days older than me. I mean, 7 days. Her birthday is 7 days before my birthday. So, all of that, I had her. Relationship still wasn't right. So every relationship that I had, it was not right. Like, we have to grow. We have to learn each other. If we started off cheating and then we trying to be faithful, it's not gonna work. And it is not gonna work. So I've tried that. I can be honest. I can say that I've dated married men. I've dated single men. And I've received every karma that I have given out. Not every single one. I'm still receiving karma because I'm married now, but I'm on divorce number 2. So, yes, divorce number 2. So, back to my daughter's father. I tried to be friends with him. When I wanted to leave, he sold my car for $250, so I wouldn't leave him. And it's like every man that I wanted to leave, and I was prepared mentally to leave, they made it so that I couldn't. And that's been every man that I've dated. They either was mentally, emotionally, they did a good job with me, like, because I was already angry. It's like it was just added to everything else that I had, to the point that I just cried out in 2008. By then, I was in a relationship for 7 years with someone else. He was also older than me, but he was 7 years older than me. And I just got so tired of living that life. In 2008, I'm on my way to go pick my kids up from their dad's house because on weekends I didn't have them. And I cried. As soon as I got in the car, I cried, and I was like, if it's a true God, then show me the God that everybody talk about. I surrender, like, whatever you want me to do. And if you're a true God, then allow someone to come to me and ask me to come to their church. That's after your own heart. Not theirs, but after your own heart. And that was on a Sunday. That was a Sunday. I picked my kids up, and when I picked my son up, he was the furthest. I picked him up, and then I picked my daughter up. By the time I picked my son up, I wasn't crying no more. I had to put the mama hat back on and get my stuff together. And on Monday, I got my kids ready for school. I was trying to get out the door, and I couldn't. It was like everything was happening, and I would never go outside to the bus stop, my kids' bus stop, with pajamas on. So I didn't even have time to change, get myself together, which wasn't, it was odd because I was always prepared. So then Tuesday come, same thing, distractions. And I'm like, I don't care what's going on. I'm finna go outside in these pajamas. And I went outside in the pajamas. And it was this man, I went to high school with his daughter, but he had came to me and he said, sister, I don't know what this is, but I was prepared to ask you yesterday, but I don't know if I should ask you. I'm like, ask me what? He was like, I want to invite you to my church, and I go and pick up the church van from the church on Sunday morning, and I come here, and whoever don't have a ride, I bring them to church. I said, you ain't got to be scared to tell me, invite me to church, because this is something that I prayed for on 2 days ago on Sunday. I said, give me the address. And I had pajamas on and all. Give me the address. I'll be there. Anybody want to ride with me to church that can't fit in the van? And he was just so excited. He was like, dog, I was so scared. I was like, you never supposed to be scared to invite nobody to the house of the Lord, because you don't know what they going through and you don't know what they prayed for. And I prayed for that. And I went to the church. I had fun. I had a nice time. It was a lot of things that occurred in the church, but that'll come up on the later video. And so after a while, the Lord told me, that's when I start hearing the Lord more and more. Like when I start going to church, not saying go to church so you can get all these blessings, but when I was obedient, the Lord was blessing me with $4,000 just out of the blue, $15,000. My kids were $11,000 and $12,000. Like, money was just coming, and I was so excited because I was already receiving money before I cried out to God, but it wasn't in the thousands. It was like a couple of hundreds. And so after that, I just was like, you know what? This feel good. I love telling people about the goodness of God. I love bragging on how my father is just, blessed me and heard my cry. And it didn't even take all that people make it seem like you got to say these long prayers and all of that. You just have to be sincere. You just have to know that what you want, what you told God you're going to do, you're going to try to do it the best of your ability. We all fall short every single day. Nobody's perfect, but he sent his son in the world, Jesus. Jesus died on the cross for us. So I'm just so excited to share my story with y'all, and I have more to come. I have the Lord has been dealing with me on another topic called do not marry your assignment. Like I said, I've been married twice. Two of them were legally, and the other one was it was a piece of paper, but we'll talk about that on a later time. So I love y'all for listening to me on my little crash course of my life, and I pray that it help each and every one that this come across, because people think that their situation is worse than others. It's people out there, their situation is worse off than yours, and you will never know. But I hope that this bless you, and I love you guys, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.